Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. He changes. I don't have a bingo. And I've got a slightly tricky rack. Nothing massively worth hanging on to. I certainly want to get rid of the V. So I could play laving, which does not get the V doubled, which I'd quite like to achieve. I could play Maven, keeping GL. Tricky. I could play Malvi, keeping NG. I think that's the most promising I've seen. It gets the M doubled at least. So 26 points. Not good. Okay. I wonder if veiling is good. It's not. So I think I'll go with Maven for 26. Wow, pretty good. I have glories and gloires. Maven takes an S at the end. And I may well have some 8-letter plays through these floaters. Can't see anything with the M, but it actually looks quite promising. Wow, 40 points for opponent. Pretty good start for him. And key takes an S in front, so my bingos certainly play in row F. Eng is good, so I could play gloires in that spot, which would avoid opening up a triple-triple lane. Now, I think something better is going to be a double-double, so I have Seraglio. Gyrosol also playable in the same spot. And Gasolea, but that's not a double-double. So, wow, Seraglio. Putting this triple letter square here, but the X has gone, so that's not as dangerous as it otherwise would be, and it's slightly balanced by the O next to the double word square. I'm going with this. Another good pickup. Not immediately seeing a 7. Wow, fantastic bingo by my opponent, 60 points. He now trails by 12. And the two most promising floaters for my rack have now been taken out. The E not available for a bingo. EN is. So I could have a word ending ment. Debarment. Wow. I think this is good. Debarment for 95, if it is. And it is. Fantastic. That was a slight punt. I haven't studied that word, but it sounded like a plausible English word. Now, onto this new rack. I'm not seeing a bingo, but it's a reasonably balanced rack. I've got a scoring tile in the F, which goes next to this E in Seraglio. So I could play, well, my E doesn't go next to the S, so it would have to be a play ending OF, which could be just of. However, I would like to sort out the duplicate N. Opponent scoring well. So can I play the F and sort out the duplicate N? Well, yes. And I hesitate. I may not do this, but I do have faux N for 31. It's opening up row O and the triple word squares. Very easy opportunity for opponent to score 30 or 40 points or more. So that's 31 points. Can I score anything vaguely similar? Well, I've got 33 for defog, keeping NNT. Not great. I do have faux in column 4, but for not very much. So, what else is on offer? How about often? 29 points, decent score, decent rack leave. And it's taking out column 8, so I think there's a lot good about this, and it doesn't take an S, so it's only providing an N floater. I'm going with this. That looks nice. Could easily have a bingo here. I lead by 100. So I've got the ing ending with nat or tant. I don't think there's a 7. Certainly not what I'm seeing. The N, not a particularly helpful floater, I don't think. I would have taunting through a U. What about something through the E or A of debarment? Well, okay. Opponent's lost contact or quit. He's back. I rather thought he might be. He specifically asked for a game, so I would expect him to hang around for it to finish. Now, what about... I was going to say, what about tranting, which I think is good through the R of debarment. But look at this. Opponent bingos and blocks. Do I have something through S and R? Don't think so. Wow, that N proving useful for my opponent. And I'm quite glad I didn't play faux in, because with a blank, opponent could easily have had something big in row O. As it is, he scored about as little as it's possible to score with a bingo. However, it's still quite a lot, and I now lead by just 40 points. Which makes it all the more important not to miss a bingo. Now this A is still available. What about natating? I don't think that's good. I've got anti as a prefix with GNT. Now, are there any floaters I haven't considered? Don't think so. So, how to sort the rack out? Well, the duplicates, clearly. So I could play giant. 18 points, which is okay. I'm providing floaters, which aren't massively useful for me since they duplicate tiles I've got. I'm leaving the floaters of debarment alone, but this E does help my rack. So it's a case with this lead of 40 points. Do I try and dampen down volatility? And I think the answer to that is yes, but not at any great score sacrifice. So, what about a play parallel to debarment? Nothing can play alongside coercions unless it's got an H next to the C, which isn't very likely. 13 minutes on my clock. Well, I was thinking about playing gate, G-A-I-T-T in column 6, but that leaves double N. So what about playing just NT somewhere? Keeping 8ing, which is quite a nice rack. This is a really, really tough call here. And I'm being drawn back to giant, because if I play off just NT, I'll leave a good rack leave. But I'm not going to score very much for NT. Whereas giant keeps a reasonable rack leave and does score quite well. I'm not saying anywhere fantastic. I've got something like 10 or net through this E. That's pretty lame. So giant for 18. Pretty horrendous. I was rather hoping for a bingo rack with all these floaters, and the racks moved in the opposite direction. Just 17 for my opponent, but I'm only half a bingo ahead. So what can I do to sort this rack out? I do have a play of Zin, but that leaves 4 consonants, which is dreadful. I have Blitz, but that doesn't get doubled, and it places the Z above a double word square. I have Zinc in column 3, keeping 4 consonants. I don't have anything parallel to debarment which uses the Z. I could play Ritz, hanging on to my vowel, and that's a balanced rack leave. It's the right level of vowels and consonants, 2 more consonants than vowels. I'm obstructing N and T, and I'm scoring well. I'm going with this. Quite nice. More vowels than last time. It's not bingo-y, but once I get rid of the J, the rack leave should be, and I have an 80-point lead. I've got Gin in column 14, J-I-N. Opponent increases the volatility and scores 30 points. So what can I do? I've got 10 minutes on my clock. There are 28 tiles in the bag. There's still 1 blank and 1 S to come, and quite a few E's. And those are generally the tiles I look at in terms of having an instant view as to the bingoiness of the unseen pool. And therefore I would say it is bingo-y, particularly in conjunction with the openness of the board with floaters in debarment, doved and giant. So where can I score well with the J? Can't see anything good through the C. I've got Gin keeping Pelon, not a fabulous rack leave. No J something C words. I have Joe through the E, but the only floater at the bottom is actually the D. Now I have Jalopin, and whatever I kept as a rack leave was only going to be quite good. So I quite like getting the score of 32 for Jalopin. I'm just wondering how that compares to something like Joe. 26 points. Do I sacrifice 6 points to keep LINP with this rack? I don't think so. I think it's close. I think it's close because Joe also is taking out 2 useful floaters, or obstructing 3 in fact. I'm going with this. Ah, great, it's not good. So, now Pole G is good. Does that play anywhere? I'm not having a good game for playing phonies. Fortunately, it's Void Challenge. Maybe it's Jalapin. So, this was what I was thinking about. It obstructs D, E, and B. It leaves me with a decent rack leave, which goes quite well with the A of debarment. I'm retaining a scoring tile in the P. So, I'm going with this. Pretty good. That looks really quite promising. Replevin through a V. Not seeing anything through the A currently. Perry Neal. That's blocked. Great, opponent doesn't bingo. But still 22 tiles to come. Now, Perry Neal I don't think does have an anagram. Can't see anything with the D or the B. So what about the T of giant? Not seeing anything. So I've got the P as a scoring tile. Just looking to see if I have a play down from the Z. Nothing is springing to mind. My I can go next to the G, so I could play pine. P-E-I-N, keeping L-E-R. No L's to come. And I lead by, wow, just 40 points, so I do need to keep scoring. Only 25 points for pine. Peen. 29. I'm looking at this D just in case I've overlooked a bingo. Well, if I have, I'm not seeing it. Now, what about a play ending I-Z-E? So that's plurn plus an N. Not seeing anything. Let me check the remaining vowels. 16 out of 29. Wow, it's a lot of vowels. So I could do with burning some, which draws me back to pine, and I'm taking a spot where opponent could score more. Yeah, I'm going with this. Here come the vowels. Fortunately, I have a Y, not something I say often, but it should enable me to score. I'm super vulnerable to a bingo because I'm not going to be able to respond with a big score. My best hope is that neither of us bingo, and I limp over the line. Nice score for my opponent, 36 points, killing a lot of bingo lanes. I can kill more by playing your for 28. Pretty grim Rackley, given the vowels to come, but only one O to come. And this really isn't offering terribly much. So your for 28. And the remaining tiles now looking quite bingo-y, and there's still this floating D at the bottom of the board and the top. And if opponent bingos, he could have a lead of 30 points that I can't come back on. And he does. 77 points. Fortunately, his lead is only 14 points. 2 tiles in the bag. Quite a lot of scoring tiles. So I have Weep for 30. Y-E-R is good. So is Y-A-R. And W-A-I. So opponent could have bar in that spot. But over 30 points. 2 tiles in the bag. So I'm going to have 6 tiles. Pretty unlikely that I can go out in 1. So can I do better? Is Zowie good? It is, for 34 points. And now I will have only 5 tiles on my rack as opposed to 6 with Weeps, which increases the chances that I can go out in 1. I don't think this is offering anything huge for my opponent. I'm going with this. Opponent has both the P and the H. So this doesn't look like something I can go out with. And, well, I have a lead of 20 points. But it could well be that my opponent gets to go twice. Fortunately, I've drawn the B, so opponent doesn't have bar. But I'm not feeling good about this rack. I'm seeing very little. Fortunately, well, I was going to say fortunately I've got a bit of time, but I don't have as much time as I thought I did. Look at this, opponent's got 15 minutes on his clock. I hadn't appreciated how quickly he was playing. I can see the words blue and lube on my rack. Nowhere great to play them. I've got blur for 18. I don't have anything parallel to Zowie. I've got BE, 24 points, keeping LEU. But I expect I will only have one go. I've got Brûlé for 14 points. My opponent's got a lot of time to find his best out sequence. I would regard him as the favourite. Wow, opponent plays quite quickly. 23 points for Piner. So I now trail by 3. Opponent's got AHI on his rack, which plays in the bottom right. 25 points. Which is going to be enough to overtake Brûlé. 3 minutes on my clock. It's also going to be enough to overtake BE. So, can I block down here? Not sure I can. Well, I've got Bell. 18 points, keeping EU. So that is going to take me to 418. I lead by 15. Opponent needs 11 to draw with R high. Can he do that? Well, he can draw with R high and AH. Does he have a bigger score? I don't know. And can I do anything better than this? Not sure I can. I could play LEU at the bottom, but only 13 points. Can't see anything longer than this which works in this spot. I'm going with Bell. And let's see what my opponent has spotted by way of an outplay. Yep, very nice. And the final score, 418 to me, 431 to my opponent, a winning margin of 13 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Very close end to the game. So, opponent to go first. He changed my rack, and after a couple of non-words, I played Maven, which looks fine. I think Lathing probably the alternative. Opponent plays Kex, and now I have Seraglio for 86, which was the highest scoring, and there were other words, including Go Merrills through the M. Great spot by my opponent, the only bingo, Alidades. Now I have Debarment for 95, which was the only bingo. And I lead by 100 points. Opponent plays Ewis. And I thought about Defog, didn't like the rack leave. Didn't see Gonef. Oh right, playing in row F, that would have been nice. I play Often for 29. Yep, I think that's as good as anything else. And opponent has a choice of bingos, but none of them particularly easy to spot, so a good spot by him. No bingo for me. I have Batting through the B for 22. And I played giant for 18, keeping a better rack leave, and I like that. Horrible rack for my opponent. Plays clef. Wow, Blintz. I didn't see that. I saw Blitz, but not Blintz. It does take an E at the end, but I think that would have been my play. So I play Ritz for 3 fewer points. And I think PR probably a better rack leave than ILNP, but I suspect they're both fairly close, in which case Blintz a better play. Opponent's rack plays Doved. Now N1 Gion, thought about that, didn't like what it set up for my opponent. Went with Joe in the end, somewhere. Up here, B6, Joe, yep, for 26. So dropping 13 points over Gion, I think that would require a sim because of the volatility set up by putting the J above this triple word square with 3 A's and 3 O's to come and none of them on my rack. Opponent's rack, wow, has a bingo, doesn't see it. A rort at A15 onto the T. And in the same spot moving the blank. And also D8 through the A of debarment. Very tricky bingo to spot. My rack. No missed bingo here. And I play Pine for 25. Which looks fine. The N1 plays, again, are problematic. However, they do interfere with the bingo lane row O, so it's not automatically a bad thing. Opponent's rack plays Burkers, and now I lead by 30, which is a really slender lead with a blank still out there. Zooey, quite nice for 34. I play Yor, and it's not here, but I still, well, it is there, D12, and I think it's okay. Although I think Zooey is also, well, it's okay, but it's sticking a vowel next to this double letter square, so I don't like Zooey. I'm quite happy with my play. Great rack for my opponent, a ton of bingos, plays oriented, and anything I had done towards the bottom left wouldn't have stopped something like Doctrine heading to the right. So now I trail by 14, only 2 tiles in the bag. This is my rack. What is on offer? I play Zowie for 34. Let me hit Tell Examiner 1 and see what he makes of my winning chances, which I suspect are pretty slender. Nothing else from that list looks particularly amazing. Lout keeping 4 E's. I struggle to contemplate as a winning play. All of these rack leaves grim. Apart from the Zowie one and the U one, but Zowie scores 14 more points. That was a nice end play by my opponent, leaving available Ohio and Ahi. Impossible for me to block both. Now, best play. Wow, Zowie actually wins 47% of the time. And it wins when these 2 tiles are in the bag. So what was in the bag for me was U and R, I think. No, can't have been an R. U and B. And it's not on the list. So, wow, Zowie actually wins nearly half the time. Opponent's rack. He plays Piner. So now he leads by 3. I've got this rack. Do I have a win? A1 beat for 24. Again, let me hit Examiner 1. And because of the 2 outs for my opponent, I'm not expecting Bell to be particularly massive. Best was Beep, and it wins 0% of the time. And finally, opponent has Ohio for 24. But if he hadn't have spotted that, and it's not a massively obvious play, then his best was just 11, which would not have been enough. So Ohio was my opponent's only winning play. So really close end to the game, and an exciting game. Faltering start with the two non-words right at the very beginning. That doesn't matter in Void Challenge. And I was delighted to get debarment down. Always fun to play a 9-letter word. So well done once again to my opponent. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.